Watch this.
Helpless. That's how Ada County Commissioner and Health Board member Diana Lacciando felt when protesters showed up at her house last night. She wasn't there, but her kids were, and they were scared. Swastikas stuck and littered throughout Boise's Anne Frank Memorial, a place meant to highlight the struggle against injustice and oppression, which is obviously still real. Which made us wonder, why is Boise home to the only Anne Frank Memorial in the United States? Well, a traveling exhibit back in the 1990s sparked an idea, one that would use history to make history. Is Idaho too great for hate? The answer to that doesn't seem to be a full-throated yes right now. I mean, that too great for hate ideology is something the community has embraced over the years, but even the Idaho legislature didn't believe in that mantra enough to put those words on a license plate this past session. And vandalism at the Anne Frank Human Rights Memorial this week certainly sends a clear message. I don't know how much clearer someone could be. They placed Nazi swastikas all over the memorial in honor of Holocaust victim Anne Frank. Joe Paris spoke with the Wasmuth Center for Human Rights. He asked them about the attack on the memorial and the tough conversations it is forcing us to have.
We are the heart of the city, and this has been a direct attack on that heart.
Early Tuesday, 9 Nazi swastika stickers were found placed across the Anne Frank Human Rights Memorial in Boise. The memorial belongs to the Wasmuth Center for Human Rights and serves as a place for education and reflection.
There becomes a point when too much is too much.
Dan Prinzing is the executive director of the Wasmuth Center. He says the specific placement of the stickers is notable.
The one that becomes so poignant is the one that is placed right on Anne's diary, right there on the statue.
But love is just, it's a warm glow.
Love is just taking the person as they are.
When you haven't seen them for a while, and they look at them, they smile, you feel this glow inside of you. And that's to me, that's love.
And you love even the bad habits. That's true love.
I'm Mike Smith. I live in Caldwell with my wife, Jenny.
Miriam Virginia MacArthur Smith.
It's actually Miriam, but she goes by Jenny.
It's a pain to write, too.
It started out as a Christmas thing, just 10 days of I love you and notes, and she said, that's it, you got to do this every year. And I decided, I'm going to take this to the next level. I'm going to do it for 365 days.
I told him he couldn't do it. I said, there is no way you are going to be able to pull this off. And he did it.
You know, Kim, it's really hard to gauge that exactly, but I was looking around at all the license plates parked in the downtown corridor, and almost all of them were Idaho plates, and that's very normal for a Tuesday night. Of course, there's always going to be some out-of-towners, but you'll see here behind me, the scene here at Capitol in Maine remains active. Few hundred people definitely still down here, but far fewer than we saw a number of hours ago. You can definitely still hear the chants. You can definitely still see some pushing and shoving here and there, but for the most part, things are basically winding down.
Now, a special presentation from the KTVB Newsroom. Bronco Roundup Game Day starts now.
Well, it comes a little earlier this week, but it is game day once again here in the City of Trees. Tonight, Boise State will look to bounce back on the blue as they resume Mountain West play by hosting the Colorado State Rams. Good evening, everybody, and welcome on into the Bronco Roundup Game Day show. The Broncos are off to a 2-1 start this season, but it is worth noting that they are 2-0 in Mountain West Conference play. We have so much to get to on the show today. Who plays quarterback this evening? Will Andrew Van Buren have to carry the load again at running back? And will John Bates be able to continue his impressive streak of consecutive games played to 45? I promise you there's only one place where you're going to get all the answers, plus this exclusive live look at the blue. On that note, we welcome in Will Hall. Will, I know it's Thursday. We're barely past hump day, but happy game day, my man.
Happy game day, JT, as we welcome you live inside Albertson Stadium. You know what? Let's just get right to it. I know it's the million-dollar question right now in Bronco Nation. Who's going to start at quarterback for Boise State this evening? I can tell you, as the players are back in the locker room, getting their pads on, getting back out here to come out for the final warm-up, that we did see Hank Bachmeier out here on the blue warming up.
2, 3, go.
I am a rather active musician and I play a lot of gigs, and obviously over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks all my gigs have been canceled. You know, I love to play and it perks me up and it makes me happy. Some blues, a little bit of jazzy blues, some Americana. So I thought to myself, with all the social distancing stuff going on, I figured that I could stand here and not be at risk either from people or to people.
Well, over the last several weeks and months, we have seen a lot of your questions, and today we're going to try to answer as many as we can, all in one place. Joining us today from several different places, a panel of Idaho election experts. Secretary of State Lawrence Denny, Twin Falls County Clerk Christina Glasscock, and Ada County Clerk Phil McGrain. And our goal here is to ensure Idahoans know to vote, no matter what side of the aisle you may be standing on. So thank you all for joining us here this afternoon. Viewers, feel free to keep sending us your questions. You can text them to us. The number is on the bottom of your screen right now, 208-321-5614. We may get to a few of them here right off the top, but we have about 24 questions on the docket, so let's get right to it. Our first one is for Twin Falls County Clerk Christina Glasscock. And Ben writes, I'm a new voter. Where do I register to vote for the first time?
It's a great question, Ben. Today, National Voter Registration Day. We're trying to get over 1 million registered voters in Idaho. It's really a simple process. We have pre-registration up until October 9th. If you miss that registration cutoff, Idaho has Election Day registration where you can register and vote at early voting locations or at your polling place.
You're watching Idaho's News Channel 7. This is the news at 10.
My 12-year-old son is home by himself right now, and there are protesters banging outside the door, okay? I'm going to go home and make sure he's okay.
Safety concerns stopped tonight's Central District Health meeting before they could vote on a proposed health order.
Ada County Commissioner Diana Lacciando visibly shaken, her voice shaking after protesters lined the sidewalk outside her home.
The meeting had only started when board members Lacciando and Dr. Ted Epperly said there were protesters outside of their homes and at least one other board member.
Minutes later, Central District Health Director Russ Duke interrupted the meeting, saying Boise Mayor Lauren McLean and Police Chief Ryan Lee wanted the meeting to be canceled.
Our Joey Prechtel was watching that meeting while all of this unfolded earlier tonight. Joey, a lot of moving parts. Let's let you kick us off.
Well, Mark and Kim, I got a chance to talk to Dr. Ted Epperly tonight after the meeting ended. He told me this was the first time where there was actually protesters right outside of his home. He said around a dozen people showed up. They were doing a number of things to make as much noise as they could, from banging trash cans, yelling, screaming, also shining a strobe light into his house through the windows at some points.
Then there's older sister Hattie.
I'm doing the knit stitch.
Sitting almost still and almost by herself, and who, at the age of 8, is just 3 days in.
Yep, 3 days in.
On learning how to knit.
At first, I was having a hard time and it kept falling off. Then Shannon showed me how to do it.
Shannon,
I like those colors mixed in.
Thank you.
Is why Hattie isn't exactly by herself.
She started out wanting to make a sweater, and I said, let's start with a scarf.
She started just last weekend, when Hattie had an idea.
Oh, she just went into our kitchen and grabbed some wooden skewers out of our drawer, and I asked her what she was doing, and she said, I'm ready to knit.
Problem was, she didn't exactly know how. So Hattie walked out and asked Shannon.
Could you teach me how to knit?
Her neighbor.
I said, sure.
So Shannon went out that day for needles and yarn.
And we came out the next day and sat down and spent over 2 hours knitting.
And every day since, Hattie has pulled her patio chair up to her backyard fence.
Yep, it's still February. It is still winter, but meteorological winter, the months of December, January, and February, it's almost over. No matter how we define winter, these last few months have been abnormally warm across the Treasure Valley. So warm, winter 2019-2020 is making its way into the record books. It's typically a season known for cold and snow, but not this winter. Remember December 22nd when it was 61 degrees in Boise? Getting that warm that late in the year has only happened 2 other times on record. Or how about 48 degrees in McCall just 3 days before Christmas? Seems weird for winter, right? December 2019 finished 5.4 degrees above average in Boise, making it the 10th warmest on record since 1940.
Downtown Boise is not necessarily wanting when it comes to works of art.
Oh, they do pretty good.
An empty wall will inevitably, effectively, get filled.
There's some good stuff, yeah.
And often with a freakish flair.
Yeah.
The latest concrete canvas belongs to the Key Bank building, and it's being covered by Portland artist David Carmack Lewis, who is used to working in Boise, but only if it's big.
This is not just big, this is huge.
It may be the 10th tallest tower in town, but it marks another first for David.
When I did the water cooler mural, that was the biggest thing I'd ever done. Then I did the Fowler mural, and that was the biggest thing I've ever done. And now this is the biggest thing I've ever done, so.
Animals 800. In the 1950s, Idaho relocated these amphibious rodents by dropping them with parachutes out of airplanes. Zach.
What are beavers?
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Way to go, Zach. Yeah, you beat me to it. Amphibious animals falling from the sky. It's a kind of strange but true piece of Idaho history. It was showcased last night on Jeopardy, as you just saw. That answer and that question prompted James DeWald to ask on our Facebook page, what and when was this? Well, here on the 208, some of us knew exactly what Trebek was talking about, while others were confused by even the thought of parachuting beavers in Idaho. So we did some research. Turns out the city of McCall's population boom in the 1940s had something to do with it. If you were only told about it, you might not believe it. Like a story passed around campfires from one generation to the next. It goes like this. In Idaho's mountains, tucked beside a sparkling lake, sits McCall. With its views and location, it started to pull people in, and the community starts to grow. Family homes, vacation homes, businesses being built. It was going so well, until it wasn't. Shortly after World War II, the town found itself with a problem. Turns out, a colony of beavers, who had been in the area for centuries, began destroying property with their dam tendencies. Beaver, dam, kind of go hand in hand.
Good Wednesday morning and welcome to Wake Up Idaho. I'm sure a lot of you have been up most of the night waiting for election results, and you know what? We still don't have them. But there is a lot to cover this morning locally and nationally, and we're going to get to that right now. We have results running at the bottom of your screen throughout the morning if you'd like to check that. You can also go to KTVB.com. Let's check in, though, with where both presidential candidates stand right now, because that's what we're waiting for, Doug. So how many electoral votes do Biden and Trump each have at this hour?
And we'll get to that in just 1 second. But first, just a quick look at the popular vote right now. Former Vice President Joe Biden leading in the popular vote by about 2.3 million votes over President Donald Trump. Now, if you look at those electoral votes that you mentioned, right now we have Joe Biden with 238 electoral votes, with President Trump having 213. There are still several states still in play this morning, including Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, and Alaska. There is a discrepancy here. NBC right now is reporting 224 Biden electoral votes, but we're going with 238 for this exercise this morning. Now, if we look at the path that President Trump needs to get to 270 electoral votes. With those states still in play, right now Pennsylvania is the one leaning most heavily in his direction, but those votes may not be counted until Friday. But if you add those to his tally, that brings him up to 233. Michigan and Wisconsin, which he won last time, are still in play as well. Michigan does expect to have results later on today, but if you put those into his tally, now he is up to 259. He would still need one of the southern states, North Carolina or Georgia, to get him over 270.